All right, let's move right on. We want to get this next session done in the next 25 minutes. Buildings for a church plant. I think we can do this. One of the most difficult problems you face, I'll take that tea if you want to bring it up to me. Oh, she doesn't want to be on camera, does she? I should bring her up here. Well, this guy's not nearly as good looking as my wife, who could be on camera, I'll tell you that. We'll have to sneak her on camera when she's asleep back there and doing her work. All right. One of the most difficult problems when starting a new church is finding a right building, the right buildings. It is getting more and more difficult all the time. It is necessary. It's a search and locate type situation for the right buildings. I love to deer hunt. Did you get these notes up? You did. Okay. I love to deer hunt. I really enjoy deer hunting. And I tell you, a lot of looking for buildings for me is like going hunting, you know. Now, I don't pack a piece or anything like that to go looking for a building. I'd like to, and maybe in some areas we should. I don't know. But, you want to find the right buildings because the first appearance for many visitors, it will determine whether they come back to the church or not. And the first appearance is going to be, what's this building look like? What's this building look like? And so having the right buildings for the Get Acquainted meetings in the new church will work toward a successful church plant. It will help. And in many cases, the process for finding the right building is long and difficult. I tell you what, I've been in some situations. Oh, goodness. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'll never forget Pittsburgh. I just finally said, you're not going to find a building. There's just nothing. He ended up in some kind of senior citizens home that had an Alzheimer's wing on it. And he met in their dining hall. And it went reasonably well. I preached for him there. But man, I'll tell you what, and it was free. I don't think he had to charge, they got charged anything, but I didn't think they'd find a building. And I'll tell you, much prayer should be offered up to God for help in this area of finding a building. You just need to really pray, Lord, give us the right building. Now, we're going to talk first of all about the building for the special meetings. Where do you look? Where do you look? Well, there are all kinds of places to look. You should check out churches in the area to see if you can use their fellowship hall. We started a church in a Moravian church, in the fellowship hall of a Moravian church one time, and it worked pretty well. There are other places. We've bought church buildings as well. This one you see in the slide is a church in Mineral Wells, Texas. The Reproducing Church bought this building for, I think, $35,000. They put another $35,000. I think they had $60,000 in it total, and it was gorgeous. They had 35 people join the church the last night of the Get Acquainted meetings. And man, they were off and running and still doing very well down there. Another area are colleges. Check out colleges in the area for classroom space. They have rooms that you possibly could use. Sometimes they're kind of expensive. I don't suggest this as it's number 3 on our list, check out storefront buildings that may be empty. But I don't suggest that you get a storefront unless you just have to do it. And the reason for that is because you have to rent it full time and you're only using it twice a week and you're paying for something you're not using. So, as a new church, that can be really difficult. We've had to do that before. We did that with Brother Bottrell in Maryland. What's the name of the town where Hunt Valley, Maryland. Right outside of Baltimore. We couldn't find a building. He rented a storefront for $3,500 a month before he ever started the church. I said, you're crazy. You're just plain crazy. But when I heard his testimony about what God had already done for him, I said, man, the guy's just a man of faith. He's just stepping out by faith and doing it again. They just paid $1.5 million, I think, for an auditorium that would seat 300,000 or something. 300 people. I'm tired, right? 300,000. That's a big building, isn't it? I don't remember. We can edit that out, I imagine. We won't do that. What if it goes on the blooper tape? I'll tell you, the people who watch this, they're going to have a good time with us, I hope. You ought to check out hotels or motels for a conference room. We've used a lot of those. Service clubs and lodge organizations. Lions Club. We have a fellow in, they're just out of it now. They use the Masonic Hall. It's not the best. They use the downstairs of Masonic Hall. Do it for the Get Acquainted meetings. It was definitely not the best there. We're having the service, and upstairs they're having their lodge meeting. And so a guy comes down in his regalia. Okay, here's the platform. Here's the pole like this. There's facing this way. So he comes in, and he goes over here first to get a key out of something, to walk around the back to come over here to get in a door over here to get something out in his stuff. I'm preaching. What do? You just stop and said, well, folks, we got company this evening. How are you doing? Yeah, that's good. Oh, you're going over there. Okay, get your stuff out of there, I mean, what are you going to do? But it's been great for this church. They have grown in this basement of this building. Now, there are other people. We used a building, Masonic Hall up in Ontario, and we had a family from our church. A lady came down and she said, oh, no, I'm not going in there. I'm not going in that building. So there's some people who don't want to use it. So you got to be careful about some of these things. Another area are fairground facilities. We've used fairgrounds several places, particularly in California. We've used them. We used one in Los Banos that worked really well. We used one in Lodi. There, we used one that worked really well there. It's another area are major businesses to see if they may have a sales room or something. I can't say we've ever used one that I can remember. Town hall, town arena, library, community halls. Community halls are great. I tell you, in Pennsylvania, we used a fire hall. Boy, was that a nice building. That just worked great. That church, they got some space for their Sunday services, but all their special meetings, they went back to the fire hall. And it was a superb facility for that. So there are all kind of places to look for the building for the special meetings. And you'll just have to look. We'll help. If our ministry gets involved, we'll come in. We'll do we'll hunt with you and look for these buildings. Now, what do you look for in a building? You want to find a building that's well known to the area, where people say, "Oh yeah, we know where that is. We know where that is." Okay. Make sure the building is large enough to handle the number of churches and people attending the Get Acquainted meetings. You want to make sure it's easily accessible from the street, not hidden behind another building if possible. You want to do that. You have to check out to see, are the restroom facilities? One of the first things I do when I'm looking for buildings is I'll go in. The first thing I'll do is go to the restroom. Go in the washroom. What kind of restroom? You want to make sure, particularly the ladies. You say, you go in the ladies? Yeah, I go in the ladies. I mean, yeah, I want to check out these things because it's important. The ladies' washroom is very important in church as well. What about a nursery? Do you have a place for a nursery? Is the building available for the entire length of the meeting? Can you have it from Monday through Thursday, Sunday through Thursday, or Sunday through Wednesday or Friday, whichever you want to do? What about distractions? Make sure the building has no distractions. We used a school, where was this? West Baden, Indiana. I wish I could show you the picture of this building. And it was in the school cafeteria, and behind was this unbelievably loud drawing of people with their mouth, like this kind of thing. And so we took a picture where I was standing at the pulpit, and this head was behind me, this big, right over my head, and it looked like it was eating me. I mean, it was the best we could do in that place, but it worked, But, you don't want distractions like that if you can help it. You want to check out the acoustics. Well, you need a sound system in the room. Is one available? What about a piano? Check to see if a piano is available. Okay, these are things you have to do. Can you bring in a piano? What about kitchen facilities? Are you able to bring in refreshments? In some places, they say, well, we will provide you with refreshments. We used the Crown Plaza, I think it was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, or close to Grand Rapids. And I think they had to provide the refreshments. Was that the case over there? It was. We had to buy the refreshments from them. That went along with their buildings. You have to check those kind of things out. Now, what about the cost? Consider the cost. It'll depend a lot on the area that you're in. It will be determined by the area. It's wise to look around and be careful. Now, I think I talk about this somewhere, I'll talk about that in just a moment. Now, in most communities, there are facilities that are reasonably priced if you look around carefully and find them. Now, the building cost, and this is arbitrary, of course, but the building cost should be no more than 25% of the total cost for the church plant. Sometimes it has to be more. And if you spend a good bit of money there, that doesn't mean, the budget is 75% more than that cost. That's not what it means there. I'm not saying that at all. But you should try to keep it at no more than 25% of what your total budget is for it. All right, now let's talk about the building for the new church. Now, this is the Get Acquainted meeting. Sometimes it can be the same building. Sometimes it has to be a different building. It's not necessary. So where do you look? It's not necessary to have a new church in the same building that you hold the Get Acquainted meetings. It can be different buildings, okay? Now, you could look for these buildings at the same time. You know, we try to make one trip, find two buildings or one building that will work for both purposes. So make sure you look for this building at the same time you're looking for the building for the Get Acquainted meetings. It may be you'll find that you can use the same building, but it's not necessary. Now, there are other places other than what we've already mentioned in our previous notes that you should check out that probably will not work for the Get Acquainted meetings. For example, public school. You can use them on Sundays. Sometimes they're inexpensive and sometimes they are prohibitively expensive. I don't know what the difference is. I've had places where they say, oh, school, yeah, you can use it for nothing. I've had other places say, oh, yeah, you can use our school. It's going to be $1,200 a Sunday. Well, you can't do that, you know. If you're going to rent a facility on a full-time basis, look for a storefront or a strip mall location. They work okay. Another place will not work for the Get Acquainted meetings, but work well is daycare facilities, which are closed on Sundays. Daycares are closed. We helped start a church in Naugatuck. I'm going back there to preach this next Sunday. I don't know if they're in the same facility now as they used to be, but when we first started, they were in a daycare facility. Make a thorough search of the area. You've got to have a good building. We've already talked about location, and we'll look at it here as well, but what to look for in a building when you find a building for the Sunday services. One, it's got to be easy to find. And you still need a map. But don't have a building that's way back on a bunch of side streets that's tucked in a little dead-end corner of a street and you got a little building back there. Look, you won't get people there. They just won't be able to find it. So it should have good visibility from passersby, people who are going up and down the road. They should be able to see it. And it should have easy access and on the ground level. Do not get a place for your Sunday services where elderly people have to climb 15 steps to get up to it. When we started our first church in Winkler, it was a stupid thing to do. I don't know why I guess I just took the first building I found. I didn't know what I was doing. And we got this upstairs of the hockey arena for that Get Acquainted meeting. And these people had to climb up a huge amount of stairs. I mean, there were probably 20 stairs. It was it was probably half the size of this room, but it was way up because we were above the hockey arena. And you had windows up there where you could see out over the hockey arena there. Maybe that's why people came. Their kids or grandkids were playing hockey. They just wanted something to do. I don't know. But there are a huge amount of steps. Some of the elderly folks, maybe we had people who didn't come because of those steps. I don't know. I don't know. Back then I didn't know what I was doing anyway. I still don't know a lot, but I know more than I knew then. Another thing you want to look for in this building, does it have the rooms you need for Sunday school? Does it have the necessary rooms for Sunday school? Is it available for Sunday night? You have to ask these questions. Can we get this Sunday morning, Sunday night? And are we going to be charged twice? For example, there will be some places where you will go in and they'll say one charge, you can have a Sunday morning and Sunday night. Another place they'll say, no, there's one charge for Sunday morning and then a separate charge for Sunday night. You have to work out all those details with them. So you need to know those things. What about the restroom facilities? What about a piano? Can you bring one in if you need to? And number 8 is really important. Can you store your pulpit and sign and hymn books and other things in the building? Oh, man. Brother Roland, have you had to carry those things back and forth in your building where you are?
We do.
You do.
We have a trailer.
So you have a trailer. A lot of guys have gotten a trailer. And every Sunday, back the trailer up, take the stuff out, put it in the building. After Sunday night, load it back up, take it back out. Yep. Brother Crichton in Phoenix has to do the same thing. He's meeting in the Challenger Space Museum. That's their building out there for Sunday services. They have that thing. When they went there, there were another church in there, 2 churches in there. The other church finally left. They got the whole building, and now they are getting ready to buy a Free Will Baptist Church building that will seat 300. And the Lord has just been great this year, and I think it's partly because of Brother Moore's come on our staff, of guys getting in buildings. We're going to keep him busy because he's a great contractor, great carpenter, great electrician, and we're going to have him doing some of these things when he gets his support raised. And so if there are churches out there that are looking for somebody to support, this is the guy right here, okay? Good, we'll put that on, put him a little promo there because he's going to be helping some of these, with some of the remodeling of some of these buildings. In some places, what they have allowed them to do is build a cabinet and put everything in that cabinet that's on rollers and roll it to a place, lock it up, and store it that way. There was one in Oakville that they had that was really kind of nice. You have to check to see if the building is attractive and conducive to a church service. All right? Don't get a building that's too big for the group of people you're expecting for the new church. They'll get swallowed up in it. You know, I've seen guys say, oh yeah, we're going to use the gymnasium. And they set up 40 chairs and they're in this gymnasium that will seat 300. You know, it doesn't make for a real good service that way because of singing and so on. C, you've got to consider the cost. Try not to rent a facility on a full-time basis. You don't know what your offerings are going to be. You've got to get your cost within reason and try to project the early offerings of the new church to be sure that you can that the rent will be covered. All right, you need to do that. One thing that can reduce that is getting a lease agreement. The bad thing about getting a lease agreement is you're tied into it. You have to stay in a building that you may outgrow, which would be a wonderful thing to happen if you could outgrow it. Now, there's some other observations that we need to make. One, it's acceptable to reserve more than one building for the meetings. Okay, what I'll do when I go into a community, if I find a building that's available, I'll reserve it. Man, I'll reserve that building right away because I can always cancel it. And so what I'm doing is I'm always willing to keep looking to upgrade the facilities. Now, I didn't do that when I first started. I got a building. I guess I got the upstairs of the hockey arena and said, okay, we got a building. We don't have to look anymore. And I should have been looking to upgrade that facility. And I didn't. And so we ended up meeting there, and things worked out okay, but it could hurt you. C, it is important to keep appointments with managers. If you make an appointment with somebody, you keep that appointment or you get on your cell phone and you let them know why you're not able to keep that appointment. And D, never criticize a building in front of the manager. I shouldn't have to say that, but sometimes I've done that. I guess I said it more for my benefit than anybody else. Don't be critical of it. Criticize it after you leave. You say, there's bathrooms. Did you ever smell such a place? I mean, you don't say that in front of the manager. Maybe you need to, but you shouldn't. Now, E, be sure to cancel any reservation when you find a better suited building. You find a building, you say, okay, this will work. It's not the best, but it'll work. All right, let's keep looking. Hey, we found a nicer facility over here. Call them back and cancel it. Don't leave them hanging. Call them and cancel it. And this is true of whether it's the Get Acquainted meetings or the Sunday services. All right. Now, if you're diligent, you should find a building that's suitable for the new church. The contemporary church is killing us, church planning. I'm telling you, they're killing us. We go into communities, it's hard to find anything because they've got it all sewed up. But if you work hard at it, you can find a building. Persistence will pay off if you work at it. And it's vital to have nice buildings for the church plant. Do the best you can in this area. It will make a difference for you.